Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. So if the name in the title card looks familiar, it's because this is the return of my first ever podcast guest, Branden Kota Shimada, or as some of his fans know him as, Branden Kota. So it was around episode 50, so that would be Alex Moan's episode, where I had the idea of bringing him on because I knew that I had gone through so much growth and so much development as a interviewer or just the interviewee, and also just as a podcast host, that I wanted to get another crack at it. I wanted to see if I could, people have said that, when they first check out the show, they're like, oh, I listened to or watched your first episode with Branden, and I thought it was really good. And then maybe I'm just too critical on myself, where I don't think I was anywhere close to where I am right now, which again, it's natural that, you'll have a lot of practice because this is episode 60. So I've had 58 other interviews that I could have practiced and helped myself excel in. So I wanted to try and do this again and see how I can improve. And I was, and probably still, too critical on myself when it comes to that first episode. I mean, I had a mustache also, so let's call that one as it is. So, it was awesome to bring him. The first time we did the interview, way back when, April of 2020, it was over Zoom. So instead of repeating that process, I got him in the studio. So it was awesome to just have him in person and give him a hug. And obviously, we're both, doing precautions and we're being safe, but just to be able to give him a hug and just have him right there. And so along with not just changing the fact that we went from, Zoom interview to person interview, this episode, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, this episode was the straw that broke the camel's back. By that, I mean, I would use a camera or a recording system on my laptop to have my own camera angle, and it's failed me at least like 3 out of like the 5 times I've had a guest in my studio. So this is another failure where if you're watching on YouTube, then you are just going to see Branden during the main chunks of this interview. So my camera angle did not work for me this time as well. So I upgraded myself. I got myself a second camera, not the fanciest, but it will do the job as in terms of just having a separate camera that I know will work, that I trust will work, because I've tested, not to the duration of like a 1.5 hour interview, but I tested it. So going from this point forward, any live in-person interviews, they're going to be so much better. So I'm so excited to finally have that. And I'm bummed about this mishap, but I know Branden always has a great story to tell. So I'm very happy to have it back on the show and continue on. And so there's also one little mishap when it came to recording the audio portion, where it did miss a little, like just one answer. So in the interview, I do ask him about some of the supporters and some of the doubters he encounters on a daily on his journey to where he is. So I was able to just get him to recap as we got the audio fixed up. So just keep an eye on those two things if you are a video of your YouTube watcher of the show. So you won't see me at all other than in this intro, outro, and in the plug. And there's a chunk of answer. It's kind of choppy. I mean, if you're listening to it and you don't really pay attention to it and you miss it, that's totally fine. But, I just thought I'd want to confess. Not just confess, just make sure I say it so that I can, the overthinking brain that I have, that I talk to all my guests about, it will be triggered if I don't mention something. So, it was awesome to have it back. With him being my first return guest, it was a little. I was just wondering, like, how do I talk? Like, what I bring up? Was this talked about in the previous interview? How do I make it different? But honestly, I think it didn't matter in the end, because it was great to just catch up with a friend. So, however you are Actually, even before I officially turn it over to the interview, so if you would like to get notifications on when these shows, these episodes are released, you can follow the show on social media. That would be at KCmedia13 on both Instagram and Twitter, and then Conluke Media on Facebook. So if you go to youtube.com and search Keoni Chats, that is where you can find the show as well, the video versions at least. But if you just want one location to listen and or watch, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, when the interview officially starts, you will see a lower third for KeoniConlu.com. KeoniConlu.com. Go there. That is my personal website. I do have the videos as well as the audio, just a little area inside of my first page you find when you look up the website. Around the bottom, when you scroll down, you'll see a little playlist where it is up to date all the time. So this episode will be there. If you'd like to check it out on the website, if you don't have Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any of those other things, or you don't want to use YouTube. But if you do want to use YouTube, go to that same website, go to Keoni Chats under the video tabs, and then I always keep those up to date as well. So you have a couple spots there, as well as my my other creative outlets when it comes to the DC Animated Universe review series, and then my mock drafts for 2020 and 2019 and 2020, I believe. There you go. And so, yeah, just and 2021. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, it's just brain's a little flying around because just took some time off. Went to California. It was amazing. And congratulations to Ian and Leanne, whose wedding I was in attendance for. So congratulations to you two on. I hope you guys are gonna have a great marriage, and I'm very excited for both of you. So, anywho, tangent. So creative outlets are there. Photography, that's where those are posted as well. So check it out, and if no, I gotta plug it. No one else will. So now, however you are listening to this episode on whichever platform you prefer, or if you are watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat, my reunion of sorts with Branden, Kota, Shimada. Buddy, friend that I met back in my Nike days, because I am no longer with the company. So you're still repping it.
Still going.
How do you do that?
I think it's just balance, really, more than anything. I'm still part-time, but that's totally because I just want to make sure I can still create and still work. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
No discouragement about, because that was my biggest thing about leaving. Was like, they implement that new policy. It was like, you have to have like at least 35 hours of availability, but we can't guarantee it. I was like, what?
Yeah. It's definitely going with the flow more than anything, because it's part-time, the schedule changes so much that I'm literally like, based on the schedule, I just kind of like react. So all I need is like a good 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and yeah.
Buddy, you need. Yeah. So, if you always, because I feel like I need at least. I mean, it's hard to really count because I'm still a morning person. Where it comes to exercising, and I try to go to bed early. It's kind of a hard time. But then I end up like going to bed at like 11, and then waking up at like 5 to go for a run, and somehow I'm still awake and active. Now, for you, were you always like, I only need like 6 hours and I'm good?
For a long time, I need more. Yeah, like there were, especially college days, there were times where I would sleep for like 10 hours. It was pretty bad. And, my parents were like, you got to find a way to maybe take naps or something.
Yeah.
And, increment it or something. But yeah, I sleep a lot. So, but now, I think it's just been less and less the more I've been kind of having to create more time to do stuff. So I think roughly 6.5, 7 hours is probably about the average I get.
Okay. Yeah, I I think I started taking naps, yeah, back in college, where I was just like, I'm waking up at whatever time to go to class, and
Mm.
then my brain's getting a workout in. I was like, oh, I'm tired, but I feel like I should be active. And even to this day, I'm like, I think I'm still in that 20s where I don't need coffee to be energetic, and then I don't have coffee, and I feel like garbage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I live off of caffeine now. Not gonna lie. I used to not, and I used to try to find ways to incorporate natural caffeine. So like, I did a lot of, like, for instance, like if you have one 16-ounce bottle right when you wake up, room temperature, they say it'll clear your system out, and it's almost like having like a quarter cup of coffee, but more of a natural effect. So you don't like feel energized, but you do feel a little lighter, a little more awake. And then also almonds, or one thing that I heard is like, I think it's 6 almonds, like just with nothing on them, just plain almonds, is like having a half cup of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Equivalent energy wise, I guess.
you're also a little bit thinner framed than I am. So
Yeah.
I'll need like 24.
For me, it was actually like 4 almonds
Really?
in the morning, and I'd feel good. Yeah. I'd have 4 of them, but that was kind of a phase that I probably should get back on, but I haven't. I usually use more like multivitamins now, so I just take like one of those multivitamin pills and then protein shake, because I do push-ups every morning before work. That also helps, kind of get the system going too. Not a lot. I just like make sure I do at least 50 a day, minimum. So yeah, some days I do a little more, but yeah.
Have you seen any results during this? I guess when you started to, let's say this
Absolutely.
morning.
This actually started when COVID started.
Oh, really?
And I do at-home workouts every time.
Yeah.
So it started actually when COVID started. There was so much free time. So I started with 100 a day, and that was like 50 in the morning, 50 at night. And then it ended up getting to about 300 in one session. So I was like, I need to figure out a way to switch it up, because push-ups are just too easy.
Yeah.
So I started like incorporating weights, and I would do pretty much a 1-hour workout, and it was full weights and all that stuff, but it was in the studio. And I did that the whole time when we were in like lockdown, and from then I just continued to do it every single day. At least 50 push-ups. That was the only thing that I continued to do, but then some days, I'll do squats, I'll do sit-ups and all that stuff. So yeah, it's all at home. But I've noticed I have a lot more stamina and more energy, especially at work. I can like go through a day of work and continue to do music after, whereas before I was like exhausted after a day of work, because back at house it kind of works your body. It's not as much vocal, it's more physical. So
yeah, because before I started the work shift, I would go to the a little behind the scene curtains for people that are fans of the show, that the Nike floor in Portland, it's 2.5 tiers when you walk in, but there's another floor underneath where we keep all of the supplies, like all the shirts and all the extra clothing. So when I worked there, anytime before I started a shift, there's like another back warehouse, I guess back room, like the black room.
Okay, yeah.
So where I think they had like held trainings for incoming, where you and I had our trainings.
Yeah.
Very hard to do because you're tired and it's no sunlight. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. So I would go into that room, and like there's a little back corner near like another exit. So like if you keep following the
like the bins on the
the bins on the left. As soon as you enter the bins on the left, and you go to the furthest one near like an exit door. Yep. I would do push-ups there.
Oh yeah.
And there was kettlebells, because we have kettlebells for
I know exactly which ones you're talking about.
Yeah. That's great. So I would just do a little slight workout session, go into the floor a little bit warm, and the day would fly by. I'd be like so energetic. So
right, because it gets your like blood pumping. You actually wake up. Your body is not as much like, maybe not your mind or your eyes, but your body does wake up when you do that kind of physical work in the morning. Yeah. I actually got it from that Batman movie.
What?
Where which one is it? Is it Begins? The one with
where
he literally hops out of bed and he just goes straight to push-ups. I just have that image, and I'm like, I'm trying to be like Batman. My brother's favorite is Batman, so.
And yet look, and behind you is Marvel stuff. So
I love
contradictions.
I love it. Have you tried the new update, the T'Challa update?
Wait, are you talking about
the game?
The game?
The Avengers game.
I haven't. When it comes to Marvel games, I guess video games in general, I'm more of like I play Madden like crazy, but
Okay.
I'm also like with this the podcast,
Mhm.
and then also with work, and then anything else
How
I'm
much
doing.
time?
Video games time kind of shrank.
Yeah.
So you've been playing it though.
Oh yeah. And that's like, I probably should cut down a little more because I have a tendency of like, if I'm doing games, I'm not as much doing music, but I've always had a passion for video games. I don't know why. I've always been pretty competitive, I guess.
Mhm.
So growing up, I've been like playing every game. So Assassin's Creed, like Call of Duty, um, Battlefield, a lot of like PlayStation. I started off with like the Nintendo,
Mhm.
and then Super Nintendo,
Mhm.
N64, Xbox 360. I did do that for a long time, and I was Xbox for a while.
Yeah.
And then I think it got super old, and there was just so many new versions. I think the Xbox One already released, and I was still in the 360, and it was just like so many were just for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I gotta get a new system. Do I stick with the Xbox or do I go with PlayStation 4? And it's just like, I think I'm gonna switch it back because my dad used to work for Sony,
Okay.
so
I mean, there's your bias right there.
yeah, it's like
So-
way back when he lived in Japan growing up. He got a job for Sony, which was like big deal back then. So
I think my dad always jokes like, "Oh, you know what? I should have bought some stock in this thing called Apple back in the day."
oh my, that would have been crazy.
Dude, yeah. Imagine if like our parents kept on that track of like still working with Sony,
Yeah.
bought Apple stock. Where would we be?
Well, it's crazy because my dad says some of those guys that he worked with, they're like way high up in Japan. So he was saying, he's like, yeah, me knowing them, we probably would have just climbed up together. And so he'd probably be very, very high up.
Yeah.
So I mean, he thinks about it sometimes, but on the other hand, it's like he's not mad at his decision because he decided to move to America, and that's like he went the Bruce Lee route, which is what he wanted to do. So yeah, I mean, he's very, very happy now. I can tell.
Yeah. When was the last time you guys visited Japan?
Pre-COVID. Yeah, pre-COVID. It was for me. It was 2011.
Okay.
It was right after the big disaster, and I went there for almost 2 months, I think. Yeah, and I just did some volunteer work, cleaning up, doing all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was fun though. I got to visit almost every part of Japan.
Just you, or is it you in a group? Or
I went by
your parents?
myself,
Okay.
but my aunt and uncle, they helped like plan, and my dad, like, we all planned the whole trip out. So I started off like like the main middle island, not like the big one or any, but like that main one. I went from tip to tip.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started off kind of down in Tokyo area where like my aunt and uncle live, and I worked my way up to the top, and then visited someone at the very bottom, and then went back to the middle, and then came home.
How
within
long
2
was this
months.
trip? Like day wise?
The trips themselves, it was pretty fast because of the bullet trains.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I love those.
So did you ever watch King of the Hill?
Yeah, not a lot, but I know the show. Yeah.
I just remember the one episode where Hank and the whole family go to Japan and meet, because I think it was when Cotton, Hank's dad, was going to go to Japan and I think get a Medal of Honor. And so they found out that he has another family, and then Cotton runs away. So they're trying to find him, and then they got on a bullet train, and then Hank's like, "Can't this train go any faster?" And then he sees like a little pedometer. He's like, "Oh, it's going pretty fast." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that classic show."
They're so cool. If you ever get to experience like the opportunity to ride one anywhere, it's like you literally are like flying through the air. Is what it feels like, because they're super smooth.
Yeah.
And like you look outside and it's like like in Star Wars when the stars are going by.
Yeah.
You feel like you're almost like, oh, I'm going into hyperspeed. Dream come true.
So when you were in Japan, because obviously it's not a hidden fact that the Asian countries of Japan, China, and whatnot, they're more advanced than we are when it comes to technology. Because, for example, we're just now adapting Venmo and PayPal for forms of payment. They've been doing that for probably like the last 5 years or so.
Long time. I
Was-
remember. Yeah.
Was there anything that kind of stuck out to you?
Yeah. I remember when I was like, was it 12? I think it was like 12 or 11 years old. I was just going to visit family there, and we went into like this So they have these like super malls
Hmm.
all over the place. It's like each story is like almost like its own store to an extent, right? So I'm in this store kind of just like looking at electronics, games, watches, all that stuff, and I see a phone in the water. And this was like so far back that I was like, there's no way. Like Nokia age, you know what I mean? Like the brick. And it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
you see this phone submerged in water and it's on and it's just like doing stuff and you're like, is this an underwater phone? Like the first thing I thought, I was like, who makes calls underwater?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to work out. You know, you're not going to be able to really talk very well underwater. But the concept of it was like waterproof, right? And I didn't think about, I was like too young to think of waterproof at the time. And I was just like, wow, they have too much technology. And, you know, like they're just have too much time on their hands. They got water phones,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the fishes to talk to each other. I don't know, or something, but
It's for Aquaman.
yeah. And
It's
then
for
like,
Aquaman.
there were things like, music. So like when CDs were here, they had mini disc players, and it was like the size of like, how would I explain it? Like a coaster.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a coaster size, and there's these little discs, and there were like 3 songs on each, but it was like so far advanced. I was like, it was like a tiny CD, and that was before like MP3, all that stuff started coming into effect. So I was like, and you could make these in like photo booths. It's that just the amount of technology that they had. It was just like so far advanced that you were like, everything's like a toy. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, so I just want to try it and touch things, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, the advancement is pretty amazing, you know.
Yeah. So I remember when I think it was a Samsung phone or some other competitor to Apple. They did like speakers in the front, and then they made like such a big deal out of it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, well, does my thing does that? Because we both have Apple phones. So
Yeah.
and before, I think probably iPhone 8,
Okay,
like
yeah.
they had speakers coming from the bottom of the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they started flipping to the front, I was talking to my brother. I was like, so I saw some other phone like this do this, like at least 2 years prior to that actual release. He
Yeah.
said like, yeah, that's true, but Apple just perfected it. I was like, oh, that's true. But also, what's taking so long? It's like we just got to like phones that can go a little bit deeper into the water, so people can take cool photos.
Yeah. Apple actually admitted at one point that they took their technology from Japan. It was inspired. A lot of inspiration was from Japan. So I mean, he admits, that the technology advance there was huge, and he was like, this is opportunity, in America, because they're not as advanced yet, where we can jump on this. And I think I don't know when touch phones actually were in Japan, but I can imagine that they must have been a while ago, just based on the fact that we didn't have it for so long. And then all of a sudden it's like, what is this? Like you can touch it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So.
I think 2011. I remember, was it the chocolate phone or something like that, or it's like the Razor.
Okay.
The Razor flip phone.
Yeah.
Like I think it was maybe 2 phones after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember they said, "Oh, it's heat censored." I was like, "Wait, what? What?" And then it's basically the fanciest terminology for its touchscreen. I was like,
"Oh my god!" Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. It's like heat activation or something.
Yeah.
That's great.
What did your dad do for now? What does your dad do now?
My dad? So he works at the Japanese garden.
Okay.
Yeah. He's been so he worked at TIUA, which is Tokyo International University of America, and it partners with so it's a joint thing with Tokyo International University in Tokyo, and he actually would go to Japan, I think 2 or 3 times a year, go to schools, not really recruit, but encourage kids to come study in the U.S. And he would have these presentations for them that he'd make. For instance, most of them were actually just Oregon based. So like he'd do like scenes from like Free Willy, Goonies, right? So cool things that are like, this is what happens in Oregon if you and you can go visit some of these places, but also you can experience, America. And be fully immersed in the cultures. So it was a really cool experience where he had that bridge from Japan to U.S. for years, and he did that for a long time. Loved the job, and he was actually a Willamette alumni, and it's across the street. So, he was just pretty much all over the place. And like in Salem, I don't doubt that his name is circulates pretty well. So, but yeah, he did that for a long time. Unfortunately, because it was a school. When you know there were shutdowns, a lot of things closed. He wasn't able to continue, but now, yeah. So he started volunteering at the bonsai garden. I'm sorry, the Japanese garden as a caretaker, and now he's a actual bonsai caretaker, part time there. So he's super stoked, and it's kind of a new passion for him, which has been really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got bonsai trees all over the house, and it's really calming. You know, it's a really cool thing, and it's awesome to see him really passionate about something again.
So your dad did IT, while in Japan, and like not IT, but just worked at Sony in some.
That was before college. It was like actually, yeah, he was like really really young. So it was while he was still living in Japan.
Yeah.
Before he started schooling in America.
Did he try to, like, when it came to you deciding to be a singer again? So again, a little bit of backtrack is that Branden Shimada was my first ever guest on my show, so I wanted to bring him back in person this time and talk to him. Full disclosure, when it comes to like rewatching or listening to the episode again, I know I'm not to where I am right now, so I'm like partially like, oh god, it's gonna be like really cringy to like hear myself trying to ask a question, but some of these questions might be repeated. But when it came to you becoming a singer and your dad having that kind of history of being in Sony and then also working at the Tokyo International School,
University of America.
University of America. Okay. It was such a long time.
It's a long one. TIUA.
TIUA. Okay. And then did he how much influence did he like push you to be a singer, to pursue your dreams, or was he just like, you should follow the traditional dreams of like working in tech and then doing other things that can like further make you a little more financially happy?
He was the backbone of music in the family for sure. Singing wise, he always liked to sing, and we did go to like karaoke places, but overall, I would say when it comes to the influence in music with my dad and myself, it was more of like the core of music itself. So like jazz, R&B, like listening to those genres and the classics, the older music. I still am a huge fan of like 80s, 90s, that kind of music. And we're jamming it out at the house. I think that was the biggest thing. We were just kind of like always playing music while we're doing things, like making great memories with music and in the background, and sometimes when you hear that song again, you kind of get those memories back, right? So I don't know if it was purposely, subliminally that he was instilling music in me, but very much like the music that he played, I connected to so quickly, and I kind of just always loved music, but didn't know why I loved it so much. I just knew I was like always connected to it to an extent, and like the first time I ever really sang and my parents heard was at a karaoke spot, and it was actually I was like I think 7 or 8 at the time, and it was like one of those karaoke places where it's just you get your own room, and then you're just kind of chilling in there, right? So
like oh, is it Voice Box?
Just like Voice Box, very similar, but it was way back, so it was before they had that. So the place, you kind of like go downstairs. There was 8 different rooms. You just rent out a room for an hour. It's like per hour, and we just like rent out one of those rooms with like 6 or 7 family members, just close people that we just wanted to have some fun with. And we'd just like kind of sing songs that we liked. They would sing, and it was cool because I think it was Korean place. So they had Japanese music and American music, like all different. And so we usually could find the songs that we wanted to sing. And I sang I Believe I Can Fly because Space Jam inspired me. It was like the Space Jam time.
Which just had its second Space Jam Legacy come out back in August. Yeah. Because this episode probably aired a little bit later than we're recording. Yeah. So, back in August, that's when it all connects.
Right? Yeah. Space Jam. Yeah, exactly. It all connects. Yeah. And I sang that, and I remember it was like one of those karaoke things where it actually scores your voice. And I got 100%, which was like, I didn't know it was possible. And I was kind of like, wait, is it broken? You know, like, but my parents were like, no, you actually sang that really good. Like, that was a really good job. We didn't know you could do that, really. So that's when I was like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I was like super nervous, but I just really liked that song and I wanted to sing it. And I didn't realize what happened after that. And it was kind of like, well, singing's fun.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Cove Hard Yerba Mate. Josh Meckler is a good friend and former guest of the show. And after his episode where he came on and talked about the origins of Cove, I was curious, what does yerba mate taste like? So after going to the grocery store and getting that yellow can that says yerba mate on it, trying out, getting that baseline, I was just thinking, let's try it with some alcohol. So after his episode, Josh was very gracious and sent me a box of all 4 of his flavors. The berry, lemonade, a mojito, and a mango colada. So I loved all 4 flavors at different points of time just because, I didn't take them all at once. I want to just savor them and just enjoy myself. So I definitely got me feeling a little looser, which is, obviously the intention of it. But also, I felt lighter, which was pretty nice. And so you really can't go wrong with any of the flavors. You initially try, and that will be your entryway into the land of Cove. Sure, let's call it that. So if you are interested in trying some of Cove's hard yerba mate, go to hardyerba.mate.com, hardyerba.mate.com. And search around, look for some flavors you like, maybe some of the berry, maybe some of the mango colada, and then throw in a hat, throw in a shirt. Sure, why not? And so before you check out, use a discount code Keoni Chats Cove, KEONICHATSKOVE for 25% off your total purchase. That is huge. I can't say thank you enough to Josh and the folks at Cove for providing that special code for the Keoni Chats guests to use so they could try some of their stuff. I know, at least for me, when it comes to some code that will give me X amount of dollars off. So any way I can not pay full price, I'm all for it. So I hope everyone that is listening, give it a try. It's fantastic, light, it's a crisp, it's an interesting kind of different flavor than probably what you have with the seltzers, but you really can't go wrong. So you must be 21 years and over to order any alcohol from Cove. But if you'd like to use the code for apparel, perfect. Go for it. And then everyone, please enjoy responsibly.
And but after that, it kind of just got pushed to the side because I've always been an athlete. I've always put sports first because I just like to go fast, do things, right? So, I kind of didn't really think about it as much, but I knew it was in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, high school, that was like when I just kind of was like into music. I was always an athlete. So there was this long gap of just sports, no music. And then high school came along and it was Miss Jarbo. I think I talked about it last one. Remember? Yeah, she changed everything, really. And it was just a simple conversation of it was, first off, I went to a choir class to get an easy A. I was like, I just want to get through high school so I can go to college, get my scholarship, go to wherever I want to go, to U of O. That was the goal at the time. Go Ducks.
Yeah,
right?
Go Ducks.
I just wanted to get through high school. I wouldn't consider myself the best student. I do study and I do get good grades, but I'm not a really good student, I guess. I would slack, I'd procrastinate.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that, So
okay, we had to take a quick intermission, technology always going to fight me. But you were saying that there was someone that stood in your way when the critics. And I'll let you take the rest.
It happened mostly when I was trying to study music, because I did try to study it a little bit when I went to Weber State, and there was this clash because they literally never had somebody in music and in sports at that school. The reason, the best way to explain is music labs were scheduled during team practices, because that's very rare that somebody who creates music is on a sports. I guess that's how it was there. which is interesting because you know how Damian Lillard kind of came out there, and
Mm-hmm.
he definitely makes music. But anyways, yeah, I tried to study it there for I think a year and a half. I did like one vocal coach thing, and while I was there was a lot of people who kind of didn't they I don't know if I was intimidating looking or anything, but I did have a lot of doubters and people who kind of thought like I was someone who I wasn't. So like I would do some singing and they'd be like, "Yeah, you shouldn't do it that way. You should maybe go into opera singing." And I'm like, I don't think that's my lane, you know? Like first off, I don't feel like if there's an appearance of an opera singer, if there was a general appearance, I'm nothing of that. And also like I don't even a lot of opera singers are like loud, right? I'm like so quiet. There's times where I'm singing full like volume and people are like, "Hey man, do you always sing so quiet?" And I'm like, I guess I guess so, you know? But yeah, there's people who just like tell me that I should sing it this way and that way. And I did learn it because I understood from Miss Jarbo. She told me like learn all the styles to make your voice better, right? So I always was willing to learn it, but when people would try to say that's how you should sing, that's when I was like, I can't like say yeah to that because that's not really what I want to do, you know? Like and I wasn't like super serious about pursuing music at that time, but I had a passion for singing and I wanted to learn more so I could become better. Just because I like to sing, you know? And so I was, and like I said, like I was in athletics. Sometimes I wanted to get some easier classes where I could focus more on my athletics, you know, stuff like that. So that was one of those classes where I was like, it's something that I won't feel like is a classroom because it's something I enjoy, but I am learning more about it. So it just worked perfectly. And next thing you know, like I was talking about the labs, they, lined up with practice, so I had to pick one or the other, and that's when I was like, this like that sucks, but I'm gonna have to go back to sports. So there was another little like stint, but yeah, I've always had people who are like, you should sing this way, you should sing that way. I like to try it, maybe not record it, but I'll try it, and if it seems like something that people would like, maybe I might, you know, but on the other hand, it's like I do know what I sound like. I don't think I have a sound, but I know what I sound like, and I know what sounds good with my voice to an extent. So,
And so, for when we work together, you had that mentality of like, I'm not gonna say no. If someone says like, hey, I need something on the second floor, I'm on it. Hey, I need something in the mezzanine, got it. First floor, got it. Oh, you need me to be cash wrap, got it. What was that like to having to, when you think back to it now, obviously, but just saying that you can't do it because you just can't get your voice to that level. I mean, it's just something I don't know. It's kind of like trying to wrap my mind around the fact like there's so many things within my physical capability to do, and then when it comes to something I cannot do because I just don't have that talent, that's a little crushing.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everybody wants to sound like Mariah Carey. You know, everybody wants to sound like Brian McKnight, but that's Brian McKnight. She's Mariah Carey. You know, there's all these different super big names, and like the more you study, the more you realize that it's okay to not do everything. It's actually kind of better to an extent because then you start to like, you start to I'm bad with my hands.
You're fine. This is why. As soon as this wire hops out, then we'll stop again.
Right? No, yeah. But like, where was I?
You want to? Everyone wants want to sound like Mariah. Everyone wants to sound like Brian McKnight.
Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah, that's right. So the more I studied music, the more I realized it's like you don't really have to have everything. You know, you kind of carve your own lane out because you find these things that I can't do that, but there's a lot of other artists who can't do that. And they're successful, you know, and they're doing great. And it's really just studying the game really by listening to what people do. Like I can't read music or anything, so the only way I really study is by listening to the songs. Yeah. Or listening to sounds, really. So, or watching something, you know, it's all visual or like, you know, audio. So, yeah, I think knowing that I couldn't do certain things helped. It was a struggle at first because it's like I want to know what I can't. Like you feel like you're limitless. You know, you want to be limitless so that people can't criticize something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just like find what you're good at and you know how to display that well, people won't notice it because it's all creation. It's all, there's no right or wrong with music, which is one reason why I love it so much. You know, it's your interpretation of it. And for me, I feel like I want to, when I'm talking about my music, it is my personal stuff, but I want it to be more general, you know, to where it's like other people can relate to this. Because I've noticed from music, from people who are successful, they have relatable music, you know, and that's what sometimes makes it popular. Like, so I'm just kind of studying, I'm still trying to find my sound, you know, but I don't worry too much now about criticism because there's always going to be criticism. There's people who do that for a living, you know, and sometimes they criticize me. But like I said, I've been pretty blessed. I don't have a lot of people saying that I'm bad, and maybe that's because I don't hear it or listen to it. But I have lots of flaws, but I also have lots of strengths, and that's okay.
Yeah, and so I listened to your newest album. I guess I did, like fully got I think halfway, and then when it came, which is BK Mindset, that just released. I think it was earlier in August, right?
Yes, I believe August. Yeah,
early August. So there, one of your top songs. I haven't ate yet, so stomach's growling a little bit.
It's happening over here too.
So one of your songs that's kind of skyrocketing when it comes to, you know, finding you on Spotify, it's called Questioning.
Yeah.
So when it came to, like, let's use that song for example. When it came to writing that song, do you keep any kind of like checklist in your head of like, okay, well, this question that, you know, asking like, can you do this? Can you do that? Got answered. You know, I'm gonna just prove that, you know, this song can actually do that. Or I won't say like a hit list in your head of like, obviously you probably can't remember all the names of people that have told you that you should be doing this, but do you have any kind of like, you know, how much of the criticisms, how much of the questions do you use as ammunition when it comes to writing your music?
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. It becomes ammunition for me, you know. I've learned through athletics more than anything that, you know, people who trash talk, they're saying that because there's sometimes it's because they're scared, you know, and that's their only way of self-defense is like to criticize someone to hopefully get them off their game, you know. And you hear that all the time in sports, and I think that's the same. It translates to everything. So yeah, I mean, with questioning, that was actually, I'm glad you brought that one up, because for me it is a personal song. But just like I was saying, it's like I wanted to relate to other people. So when I was writing that song, it was like the only way I would have probably been able to perform that is if I was Busta Rhymes. Because there was just lyric after lyric after lyric of like personal questions to myself, you know? And I was like, wait, I shouldn't just be asking myself all these questions but on the other hand, it's like, wait, people do this all the time. Like they question things in their own lives. And so how can I like generalize this to where it sounds like an everyday, like everyone can relate to it? Because the more you can relate to people, the more people will want to hear that song, because they'll connect to it. And that's, I think, the biggest, like the smartest thing you can do with music is find something that connects with people. And Questioning was, it's an emotional song for sure. I definitely laid it all out on that one. It's question, and it was written through this whole COVID thing too. So there's a lot of times where, you know, you doubt things. You're like, can I get through today? Stuff like this, you know, and then you get mad at like simple things, you know, you're just fed up, tired. And so Questioning became like a way of encouraging myself, because it's like other people experience this, but they get through it, you know? And that one is actually cool because it's on a playlist too. And I think playlists make a big difference in music. That especially nowadays, the way music is like everyone that has playlists, and that one's been on a playlist for a while now, and it's really, and you can see, you know, the difference. It's helped a lot, and I'm really glad about it. You know, I've had a buddy from Chicago. He hit me up and he was like, "Yo, I really like questioning it. I can relate to it." And that's when you know, like, you really put your heart into a song is when it actually does connect. And so yeah, for me, questioning was motivation, but also connection. Yeah. I still have a lot of those questions today. You know, I think a lot of other people do. But yeah, this album is a very deep one. If I were to put it, you know, pretty precisely, I took years. Some songs started getting written back in 2015, and then some were written in a day. It's a culmination of like it's the reason I called it mindset is because people have a lot of different thoughts all the time, and it can be, you know, throughout the day, right? You have, like, you be watching TV, think about something else. And so I feel like when you say something with like mindset, it's like, oh, you can just talk about thoughts you have or whatever. There's no actual, it's just my brain, you know? And it's also the songs that don't really match up with the All For Her timeline. So yeah, questioning has been doing great.
Yeah.
I love it.
What is the boldest question in your mind right now?
Boldest question?
Like what, because you just mentioned like, oh, you have all these questions floating around even after the song got released. What is one that's still kind of beating the loudest drum that you're trying to always work through?
A quote my brother uses, what's your legacy? Yeah, that is the one that probably goes through my mind all the time. It's like, what am I going to leave behind when I'm gone? That helps me record a lot because it's like, I want to get it down before I'm gone. So, and it's not like I'm young still. So but having that kind of mentality helps. You know, I try to find things because a lot of this is by myself. I just kind of go in the studio and I try to find a way where I can create something. And so I try to find ways to motivate myself all the time, whatever it is. If it's negative, positive, I try to use it. Sometimes I'll even set goals for myself. Like I'll be like, I can't even, just little things. Like I love video games, right? So I'll be like, I can't game for a week, or I can't game until I finish the song. Yeah. I still do that. I challenge myself. And it's because of what's your legacy? You know, it's always ringing in my head. And my brother, I mean, you know, I've talked about it last one. He's a big part of my life. So yeah, what's your legacy would be probably the biggest question I ask myself all the time.
Yeah. And, you know, after your episode aired, I was just like, your brother followed me. I think it was on LinkedIn also and Instagram. I was like, oh, cool. My first ever follower from an episode release. Sweet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, you know, even, you know, because the music's going to stay well past us. Podcast episodes, like your episode. Yeah. Like I knew when it came to about March, late March, early April, I was like, I knew I started this journey around them. I wasn't 100% sure. So then I found like, the Instagram post, or then I also found like the episode. I kind of made sure it's all aligned. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be our legacy, is the work we're producing and the creative content.
Absolutely.
We're shooting out to the world.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, yeah. Yeah. Shout out to also one guy. His name's Mike. He's my dad's like really close friend. He does like a YouTube series. He lives in Japan. He's a professor there. But he has kind of not like his own YouTube series, but he just creates a lot of YouTube videos showing Japan, the beauty of it. And he's been like close with our family his like my whole life. I call him Uncle Mike. And yeah, he's one of those guys who also was like, you just need to create content. Yes, I know you're a perfectionist, but you don't have to be, especially when it comes to you being yourself. Like, nobody's perfect, so stop trying to act like you're perfect all the time. You know, just create stuff because people want to see it. You're an interesting person, so just do stuff, you know. And that kind of like unlocked something for me, because I was like, he's like he's kind of like a local idol in a sense. Like he's really funny guy. He's always popular wherever he's at, and he always knows how to entertain people.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love entertainment, the whole concept of entertainment. And yeah, he told me, he's like, you got to create stuff because you're entertaining. I was like, whoa, that's sick. The guy himself, who I feel is like the entertaining guy of this circle, is telling me I'm entertaining.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna create more.
Yeah.
And that was actually like after Mindset was released.
Really?
Which is interesting, and that's why there's not a lot of content before that.
Yeah.
Is because I didn't know what to create, and I was always thinking of all these things like major music video for every song. How am I gonna do that by myself? Not possible. But there is ways to go around it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, he's just like, just create stuff, no matter where you're at. You have things that look cool. Just record videos, and yeah.
Speaking of record videos, you've been pretty active on TikTok, which
trying to be.
When we had our first conversation, TikTok wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So how has that helped aid your growth? Because that's kind of crazy that like TikTok grew pretty much out of nowhere.
That's crazy.
And then also, I don't know if TikTok helped or just the fact that you have friends, family in Japan. Mm-hmm. But like your music's also hitting international levels. Like it's expanding out there.
It's crazy to think. Yeah. I mean, I was actually looking up today, like I wonder where, if there's any new places, and it's interesting because there's like, I can actually probably pull it up with like super quick. Yeah. I think it's like Germany, Italy, maybe, or Germany or France or something. Actually,
because you posted about it, and then I don't remember the country.
So Japan is my second played, and that's probably it's most likely because my family in Japan, but my grandma especially, she plays my album every day, and I was just like, that's
wow.
I mean my family is like the most. If you want to talk about support, just Shimadas are all about that, you know. So, yeah, she's always listened to my album, every day. I don't know if she understands all the lyrics, which is like still like that. I just love her so much, and yeah, she's one of my main players. But there are other places in Japan that are actually playing it, and I think it's interesting because I was trying to like figure out how my music is spreading. And it is from like people are Shazamming me, and that's how I'm finding out that it's coming from these places. Mm-hmm. Like it was so I pulled it up. It's South Africa, Germany, Australia, Japan, and the United States. It's like that's crazy, and it's oh my gosh, I'm struggling right now. Sorry about that.
I know I need a little bit of longer cord so it can actually like go into the arm, thing, but this is the best we got so far.
But yeah, it's international. I don't understand how it's happening, but I'm definitely not complaining at all. Yeah, I'm super happy.
I know I can see like on YouTube, for example, like some of the analytics as far as like, oh, your video, most of my videos, like they get played for like the first like maybe 5 minutes or so, and then they like piece them out. It's like, whatever. You still played. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I did see some, I think it was a UK. I was like, I got a couple of views, or like a couple percentage of my views are from UK. I was like, what? Shout out to all the UK fans.
Yeah, go UK. That's awesome.
I always wanted to visit.
That would be, dream. That would be awesome. I've only heard cool things, and from people who visited, like my friends and stuff. So, yeah.
So recently, again, speaking of visit, this is back in July, went to Utah, saw Weber State, your former home. What's crazy is that there's another. I'm gonna quiz you real quick. Okay. There's outside Damian Lillard. There's another NBA player that got drafted out of Weber State, who also made history. If you don't know this, that's fine. It's a little off.
Recently?
Not recently, but he did get drafted out of Weber State. He has a pretty nice Wikipedia page, so that's where I found the information.
Oh man, I feel like dang it, I can't think of his name right now, but I feel like he's a big man, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dang it. What's his name?
You and I are about the same height, so all basketball players are
everybody's big men.
Big men, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Lance Allred.
Okay.
Allred. He got drafted to the Pacers. I didn't get the position. I don't know why I didn't write that down. first legally deaf NBA player, 75 to 80% deaf, and he played from 2005 to 2016.
I'm so mad at myself for not knowing this.
That's also crazy. It's like, what the
That is
freak?
so cool.
What? I guess
What
we
an
can curse on this.
inspiration.
We can curse on the podcast. I don't know why I said what the freak.
No, but that's what an inspiration.
Right?
Like,
Out of Weber
what?
State.
I actually follow this deaf breakdancer. He's really cool. Trying to think of his name right now. I probably should have.
I mean, we're all just doing this on the fly.
Right,
so.
we are. We're just, boom, boom, boom. But yeah, he's amazing dancer, and yeah, it's so inspirational to see people like. I mean, it's not like it's not inspirational to see people who can hear dance, but like overcoming such a huge disadvantage in certain extents, like especially for a breakdancer in music. Think about
you
that.
need to hear that.
He can't hear it. And he says he feels it, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. He can feel the beat, and he goes based off of that.
I mean, the speakers are pretty heavy or pretty.
Right.
So
and he found a way.
He found a way.
He found a way.
Son of a gun. So yeah, I found that out. I was just like, oh, because Damian Lillard, you're wearing a Blazer hat. I was like, there's a connection there. Again, went to Weber State. It's a beautiful campus.
Absolutely.
Also went to University of Utah, more city. That's okay. So I was like, oh, you know, what else? What else can I? Because I want to be a little bit of a growth. I want to be a better host and try to throw some fun facts in there.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good.
That was cool. That was a really cool one. I'm glad I learned that too.
Yeah.
That's awesome about the Pacer guy.
But okay, so that was a quick tangent. But going back, there was one thing I want to ask you. When it came, you did mention shooting music videos. You did shoot one called Candy Cane.
Yeah.
And then what was that? What was that challenging? How was that challenging? What was the challenges with that? That's the word I was trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. You can't. Like when there was lockdown and stuff, and it's hard to like go out and do things. You have to kind of like adjust, And at that time, when Candy Cane was getting released, it was close to Christmas, I believe, and I needed to create some content for Christmas because I do it every year. Move this a little closer. Feels like it's quieter, but yeah, I did I do Christmas music every year, and funny thing is with Candy Cane, it actually wasn't originally a Christmas song. It became one because of the timing, and I was like, oh, it'll work because candy canes are very commonly Christmas, Changed a little bit of the writing, recorded it, boom, just like that. So Candy Cane was actually supposed to be on All for Her, the second one. But anyways, yeah, doing that one, I was like, I need to create my content for Christmas, but I don't really have songs to do. This one is great, so what can I do to change it up from the year before? Because I want to always kind of up my game. So luckily I have a really cool decked out studio,
Hey,
and
that's true, you do.
Right. And I did that for my own inspiration. I like to visually just like especially when it's writer's block, I kind of when you look around the room trying to find something. That's exactly why I did it. I want just a bunch of stuff that can just give me ideas, and so I completely decked out that room with just a bunch of music or inspirational stuff. And I figured it is like, I don't really have a place to record. Outside is kind of cold.
A little bit,
right? Probably not good for electronics. But I have this cool space where I can really I'm always myself, and I do really feel comfortable. And I realize it's like, this could inspire some other people, if they want to look at it. I want something visually to be entertaining for people, especially if it's going to be a video of mine. So that had a bunch of stuff to look at. And it's like, instead of having the route of cut scenes, going different places, and, like doing all that, I figured I would just stand in one place, sing so you can hear my vocals, that's the goal, is my sound, and then have something visually pleasing to look at. And so Candy Cane was kind of like making do with what I had, but on the other hand, it's like, yeah, this is a really comfortable place. It's very music-y. It's a lot like what is that called? Tiny Desk Concert. Have you heard of that? It's like anyways, it's this company that they make I think it's I'm trying to remember what music company it is. But anyways, they have these shows with artists, and it's actually in an office, and they just kind of have all these cool like decorations around the shelves and stuff, and then they invite these artists there, and the purpose of it is to entertain all the workers after a long week. And but they hire like the real deal people, so like all those big names have been there. And I got inspiration from that. I was like, you know what, they're just sitting there, but they have kind of something visually pleasing for the audience. I'm gonna go that route. Luckily I have this space where I can record. I have all the equipment, and I just like, let's set the scene. Red and white, candy cane, and yeah, it was fun. I the reason I stand sideways is because of my stage fright. I don't like looking directly in the camera. Like this right one, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that felt weird.
I get the hat now. I get why you wore the hat.
Exactly. I look low. No, yeah. But yeah, I'd stand sideways so that I can just kind of not see the camera there and just be in my element.
Yeah.
And luckily, it turned out to be a good video.
Yeah. And so there is first off, the lights around the edge of your ceiling. Great touch.
Thank you.
Great touch.
Thank you. I love LEDs.
There was this Netflix special that I watched, a comedy special that I watched. One time, I'm watching it again this next time. It's from, I've heard of Bo Burnham.
I love him.
So he did a Netflix comedy special called Inside. So I'm not sure if you
I gotta watch it.
He recorded it like for the whole like 2020 year by himself inside of his own home. So
interesting.
It's he has a lot of like, I mean, if you know his comedy style, it's very like political satire, and he's always very like jabby about the condition of the world. So he when I watched it, and I know like he used a projector for a lot of his shots to just do something different. That it's okay. I was like, okay, I want to do that because I have a projector too. That'd be fantastic. I did that with the 2 episodes ago. But it's just, it did also inspire me to like want to do something different, creative inside of my home. Because it was pandemic time. Yeah. Now, it's just, he does a lot of things with lights, different colors, something you did with your candy cane music video. So it was like, this is insane, man. He did all this by himself. He's a very smart and creative guy. But I was like, also, he hit a lot of the tones that he was also trying to set. Like this one's like 70s like sexy video where he's like sweating a lot. He's working out.
You got it though.
You got to see when you have a chance. But that's one thing like that kind of set the bar for me when I like trying to find inspiration to do something different, and I'm stuck in my own head. So I was like, oh, I'll just watch this, and then oh wow, okay, I'm inspired. What was something that helped you during this time when you're trying to make things in your home, do something interesting? What was something an outlet you go to kind of draw more inspiration? Because you said there were continue on. I had another thought, but I lost it.
No, a lot of things inspire me. Luckily, I can easily get inspired. But it's kind of like the layout of my studio. A lot of different things, like if I don't know, let's say if I'm just going to my studio and I'm like, hey, I just want to like chill out and just kind of like soak up some entertainment, and just that's kind of something I do, is where I'll just like zone out. I'll have like Netflix on, I'll have a project opened, and then I'll have like my video game on, just so that it's like I have all these things that are kind of going on, and it's like I don't have to worry about, I guess it's like the thought of like you have to do this. Sometimes that backfires. And so I just kind of sit back and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to chill a bit, find inspiration from doing other things. Because that's what I've noticed most is when you try to find inspiration, or if you force it, it's not going to happen. You got to sometimes take a step back, just kind of change your vibe. Not really your vibe, but just like look at something else. Like when people say like reading a book, sometimes you got to take a break from the book. You just got to look outside a bit and then go back to the book, because it gives your brain some time to like soak things in, think of stuff. And then, inspirations come from everything. I think for me, it's entertainment. that I just watch. I love TV shows. I love movies. I love watching things. Video games are when I want to be a little more active than just watch stuff. But yeah, I get inspiration from like other musicians, comedy. Social media is pretty. I do too much screen time.
Yeah, it's we gotta take it with a grain of salt. There's all positives and negatives when it comes to that kind of social media inspiration.
Exactly. Yeah. Luckily, TikTok, when I'm on there, most of it's positive. Because I think it does tailor to what you kind of watch and what you like. And I actually really like TikTok. I didn't really go off on it at first, but I realized all my music's on there, and it's like, that's awesome. I can actually incorporate, like video content and my music right there. And personally, I grew up kind of being like a goofball, like the comedian of the family to an extent, and so I like to be funny. And I think Instagram is more of my serious side to an extent. It's more of like the visual, the more artsy side of Branden Kota, and TikTok is literally like the comedic side of Kota. And so Branden Kota to full name BK. Yeah. I think TikTok has been an inspiration a lot, especially from like trends. There's a lot of music related trends now, Yeah. And that helps.
What kind of responses have you seen from the fans when they go to your TikTok and just see and hear your music?
I get a lot of I'm really fortunate. A lot of the crowd that is around me are people who are positive and they encourage. So a lot of like my coworkers, they're a lot of the people who do mostly mention or comment on my stuff, and they're like, "Yo, man, sick, awesome, great job." And my brother too. He's very, very professional and in just everything. He knows how to be on top of things, stay on top, and involve himself in everything that he needs to be involved in. So yeah, I've been lucky to have a lot of not criticism, but more encouragement, especially from coworkers. That was probably like something that, Nike's been a great company because they allow me to actually pursue my dreams and encourage people to pursue their dreams. That's a huge thing that I think has helped me stay sane through all this COVID stuff. I have a place to go to where I can kind of feel normal, but also I'm not always there. So because of the way that I can be part-time and still be successful at Nike and work on my music. So it's like I'm just in that perfect pocket right now. I love being able to have that creative time, but also work for a pretty cool company that has a lot of dope gear. I kind of like their style. A little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Just a lot of it. A lot of it. Let's be real. Yeah. So it's just I've been very blessed, especially the last like 5 years, working for Nike. Before Nike, I was not as happy. I was not able to create as much. I found, motivation through watching other people who are motivated, and it helps. I'm around a really positive crowd.
I was at Target. I live near a Target, and I was at that one, and I saw CJ or Chris Jackson.
Yeah.
And then we were talking for a bit, and Chris Jackson, he also works. I think he works on campus now. But he was like, "Oh yeah, I heard about your podcast. I interviewed Branden." I was like, "Making the rounds. All right, let's go. There we go." So,
that's awesome.
To your goofballness, what is the craziest idea you had to make a song from? What is your craziest inspiration? Because, we got all these comic books around us right now. Are you like, oh, I see Iron Man. What's a song I can make about Iron Man?
Yeah. I don't really have, I guess when it comes to crazy, I don't, feel like I'm I feel like I'm kind of just a normal guy.
Okay.
So I think if I tried to write something crazy, it wouldn't be very authentic. It would be kind of off the walls, and I don't know. Probably wouldn't feel very comfortable doing it. because I think if there was a lane, like it's my R&B lane, it's something that is inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
not something that's like as much different. So I do try to be very, how do I say it? Not ordinary, but I like to have that strong bass, that roots of music bass with mine, which I think, like I said, my dad instilled in me with all the classics, like Earth, Wind, and Fire. To this day, I jam to Earth, Wind, and Fire. But yeah, sorry, I kind of went off topic with that question, I think.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So, okay, one of the last things I wanted to ask you was, why Branden Kota? Why not? Why not Branden? Because your last name's Shimada. It's like you can go Branden Shin. You can go B Shin or B Kota. Or how did this kind of idea brainstorm of coming up with Branden Kota as your stage name come about?
It's actually kind of funny. Kota is what I wanted to go by. That's what everybody kind of knows me as, especially like growing up. That's my middle name.
Yeah.
And so it's Japanese. And I was always in Japanese classes. So a lot of people called me by my middle and last name, which is Kota Shimada. So when it came to making my artist name, I didn't want to have a name that wasn't mine. I don't know how to say that. Like, cause you know how like some people have like names of like A$AP Rocky. That's not his name, right? But it's
or Macklemore.
Macklemore, exactly, like that, exactly. Or like, Madonna's not her actual name, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know, but like I didn't want to go down the route of like having a different name than myself, because a lot of artists who do that, it's almost like alternate personality for them, that artist and the person. Music for me has been so much of my life that it's not really a different side of me. It's more me than actually anything else. So I wanted to be known as my name. I wanted Shimada in there so my family name was in there, but Shimada is a very common name.
Oh,
extremely common, which I found out when I was trying to pick my artist name.
Okay.
Right. And the cool thing is when I first picked it, it was through the website where I distribute my music, and they were like, they'll tell you if that name is common or if many artists have that name. So I started typing in things like my full name. No one obviously has that, but that's like kind of a long name, Branden Kota Shimada.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want everyone to be like, go Branden Kota Shimada, Branden Kota Shimada. Like that's that's tongue twister almost. So I was like, how can I shorten it up? Kota was perfect, but there's a lot of Kotas out there. Not in Japan, but in other Asian countries, there's a lot of Kota artists. So I was like, dang it, I didn't realize that was that common either. So what can I do? I don't want to do Kota Shimada because I don't want to be like, that's like very Japanese, right?
Yeah, it's two commons put together. That's going to be just harder for you to find, or harder for people to find you.
I feel like I'll just fall into the jumble of things. So I was like, ooh, I am mixed. I'm American and Japanese. My American name and part of my Japanese name. Branden Shimada is still kind of long. I want to keep it short.
Yeah, that's also your work name. It's your work name.
Yeah, Branden Shimada. Exactly. And that's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. It is my work name. It's my professional name to an extent, and it's not like work. Shimada is not the musician very much. I do sing while I'm at work, but I'm focused on work. So when I become Branden Kota, it does kind of set me aside also from that Shimada, the professionalism of my last name. And it does kind of give me a little freedom too, to not have to worry about it, other than like, I did want my name, but on the other hand, it's like, now I don't have the pressure of having the full last name. I am trying to represent my family to the fullest extent, but Branden Kota is, it ended up being the only name out of all the combinations that was like short, and no one had it. And I was cool with it because I got Kota in there. I really want Kota in there because it is like COTA is the music term or something, and there's a music terminology, Kota, and And I was like, that's perfect. My name and a music term just kind of relating together, very close. I'm just gonna ride on that. But having the Branden Kota does differentiate me. There was no one with that name, and I was like, you know what, I can rock with that. Like, it sounds like a first and last name, but it's very unique because there's not a lot of last name Kotas. So, and then it shows my, I'm American and Japanese, so
Pride
pride
on both ends.
It's all about thought. I'm a deep thinker.
You are
deep thinker.
I mean, if you have to create music, I feel like you have to dig deep for
absolutely,
inspiration and how you want to, the messaging you want to
exactly
send out. So the actual last thing I want to ask you, so you want to represent your family, you want to represent you're both you're American and Japanese. You're also now part of a group that is a minority singer, minority singing group, because you got the K-pop, now J-pop. Could it be J-pop?
I mean, if I
know.
get into I would not be mad at being in J-pop.
No,
mainly because to be in pop, you gotta have a a level that you gotta be at. And I would gladly accept that term if I'm worthy of it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's pop. A lot of people think pop is like a sound. It's not. It's pop stands for popular. Yeah. And so if I can get, and popular music tends to be like, a lot of people think it's like EDM or like this fast dun, 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 dun. No, it's not. It's like, it's music that everybody listens to. That's why it gets into that genre. So you'll have like Michael Jackson, like that's not pop, that's like rock almost, right? But
verging on there,
but it was pop,
yeah.
At a time. And so I'd love to be J-pop. I'd love to be any pop if possible. Yeah, I'm cool with it. If I'm
what does it
just
mean
an R&B guy.
what does it mean to you to be a non, I guess, let's just call it, you're not a white person trying to be a singer, you're a Japanese Asian descent person trying to be a singer. What does it mean to kind of represent that group of people?
There's not a lot of people in that lane.
No, it's not.
There's really not. And yet there's so much talent out there. It's insane how many Asian singers can really sing, and it's almost surprising to me how there's not that many popular singers. So for me, it's inspiration. It's like I have this lane where I can really take off if I do it right. And I think representation is a huge thing in Asian cultures. A lot of negativity gets thrown towards Asian people, and so we stick out for each other. We want to make sure we have a good foot down. Bruce Lee was one of those pioneers, and I grew up watching all the Bruce Lee films. I'm Branden because of Branden Lee.
Oh,
like that's how serious Bruce Lee is in the family.
Wow.
Yeah, I got named after Branden Lee, and
The
so
Crow.
that's a pretty cool fact. And then and my brother was named after Sean Connery. So James Bond, Bruce Lee, that sums my dad up to a T right there, right?
Nice.
So, yeah, I think it's that like underdog feel. You kind of get that because typically a lot of people. I mean, I'm a short guy. I'm a tiny guy, which doesn't work in my favor when it's like people are like, yeah, all Asians are short. It's like, well, dang it, I can't say anything about that. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's like we have so many beautiful things about us that people don't know about, and so I it's like, why not? Like, there's all this out here. I can do this. So let's do it. If it takes off, that's awesome. I want to represent not just Asian people, but like people with disadvantages. So there's so much inspiration, and like I said, I have a good corner. So it's like they're building me to be, something special. And I do feel like I don't know if it sounds like I'm putting myself on this pedestal, but I do feel like I'm meant to make a difference. My name's Foundation of Happiness. That's what Kota translates to.
Oh,
pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And so I want to make people happy, you know? And I think music is something that is a universal language, and I love it, and I can connect to it. So hopefully other people do.
Yeah. Like that's the best place to end on.
Right.
So Brandon, actually, before we officially sign off, I started actually, I think maybe a handful of episodes after yours, or an initial one, asking people 2 questions out of this packet of 170 hypothetical questions. Whoa. So that's a fun way I've I've been doing it like maybe 4 or 5 episodes after yours.
Yeah.
So for you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's asking, what's your strategy? I'm going to say, what's your first, because I feel like, what's your 4th, 5th, and 6th step when it comes to strategizing for the zombie apocalypse? Because I feel like step 1, it's always like, find shelter. Step 2, find some sort of like defense mechanism. What's step 3, 4, and 5?
Okay. I'm like seriously so happy you asked me this. It's like I've been waiting my whole life for this question. So I'm a zombie like fiend.
This is actually I did not know about this, but this works out.
I'm that weird guy. Like Call of Duty, I'm on zombies all the time. Every zombie game I believe I've played. I don't know why. I Am Legend, great movie.
I was working on that one actually because I have HBO Max. It's on there, so I was watching that one for a little bit. But continue on.
Right? Yeah, and it's like I don't know why I got such a fascination into zombies, but yeah, I'm so glad you asked me this. So yeah, you said 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5. Because first, step 1, find food. Step 2, find something to defend yourself.
Yes. So then step 3 would be find elevated shelter, most likely. Okay. Elevated. Mainly because, I mean, this is hypothetical, obviously. But based off of, research of other zombie films and stuff like that, there's not many that are like jumpers or go high. They'd have to climb. And the general thought process when it comes to a zombie is a decaying human, right? So they're probably not very, how would I say this, durable. So you'll see a lot of films like they'll start walking and all of a sudden they'll just like their leg will fall off, right? Mm-hmm. They can't climb a tree if they don't have grip and all that stuff. So I think that deep when it comes to zombies. Yeah, I go all the way to like almost the science of it if it's possible. But yeah, it would be elevated shelter. Since I already got food and weapon, right? Yeah, so protection, right? So shelter, and then I would form a barrier because a lot of zombies usually can smell or they'll go based off of like sound. So if you're in a vicinity, it's very likely that they'll get close to you. So I try to create that distance. So that's why first elevation, it's first a vertical distance. Smell usually doesn't like with wind, obviously smell will go different ways, but things usually rise, right? Yeah. So that's my thought process of it. It's like if I'm above, it'll be harder for them to smell me. So I'll get up higher, and then if I can create a barrier so that there's this, it's all about attracting them, right? And once there's the only scary thing about, I guess, a zombie would be contact. So the distance is probably the most important than anything. So barrier, yeah. I'll put those together, right? So distance.
Okay. Distance.
And then a way to escape. So I'd make ways to get. It's still distance, huh? Yeah, distance.
That works. A back door just in case.
A back door. You always gotta have a back door plan. And then possibly after that, I'd make a second area, a second escape spot.
A backup
spot, right?
That's perfect.
And then after that, I mean, I got everything I need, really. It's just survive.
I mean,
the food is already situated. Unless, I mean, raiding, that's the thing that you'd obviously have to do is you'd have to go for your food.
I guess, leading off into the zombie apocalypse, you got food figured out already, but then also defense.
Yeah.
You really put a lot of thought into this.
Oh yeah. And then also, like, I've even thought about like the family members of mine that I need to get to first, because like my cousin is like a former Marine, so he can handle himself quite well
Yes.
with weapons,
Yeah.
and I will be behind him. Yes.
Patting him on the back. You go, man.
Yeah, I'd be
You
like,
go.
hey, man, do your thing. You got this.
You
I
get
know
you get like a paper towel, start dabbing the sweat a little bit.
If you need some water, if you
You-
need a towel, I'm right
You
here,
need
man.
a snack. Let me help you out, man.
You need a snack? I'll be right back. Gotcha.
I think for me, step 3 would be securing a vehicle
Ooh, smart.
just
Smart.
in case we need to make run for and gas along with said vehicle. Step 4, figure out family, because I know my aunt lives in Salem, kind of in the country-ish, so
Smart.
a pretty big house
Smart.
too.
Get away from the city.
And then it's small country-ish, but also has like some neighbors. Just clear those houses, call it good.
Yeah.
And then the last step would be go visit your cousin, stand behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, come. We got you.
We got it.
We got it.
We got it.
Because honestly, in numbers, the bigger numbers, the higher chance we have of survival.
Exactly.
So.
If The Walking Dead taught us anything.
Dude, oh man, I'm so glad you asked me this question. Gosh, I was like, if there's one day that somebody asks me zombie questions, I'm ready.
You've been holding that one in the holster.
Oh yeah. I could keep going too, but let's keep going.
So my second question to you, again, going off, I know you're a video gamer.
Mm-hmm.
If you could be an NPC, a non-playable character in any video game, what game would you choose to reside in?
Non-playable character?
One non-playable character. So you're like a robot. You're just, and you can't control them. Like, let's say you're playing Call of Duty, you can't be. Well, I guess now you can be a zombie, but
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah.
something that's like just part of a
part of
a
the game. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Part of the game. I love a lot of the storylines of Assassin's Creed. So I'd probably want to be like a companion to an extent, of a game, like an Assassin's Creed companion, or I don't know. There's so many options, so many possibilities. It was like
top 3 options. Let's do that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd be like a sidekick.
Okay.
Right? Because then I'd be involved in the action, which would be cool.
In Assassin's Creed, or
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
like, I guess in Assassin's Creed, because it's like a one-person thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like a captain, like
Okay.
his captain or something of his ship or something. So I'd be involved in a lot of stuff. I'd be because they always have dialogue. They get to crack some jokes here and there. I like to be funny.
Can't
so
go wrong
I
with
wanna-
that.
right? And it's like we're at war. We gotta take the ease off of things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like chill out a little bit. Like we're in battle for hours. Like relax, bro. I'm gonna be that. I would be that guy, which probably is not the best at war. They'd be like, yo, Shimmy, you need to like be focused, okay? Like
Yeah.
don't die.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I'd be like the sidekick one. Another one would be like Alfred. That goes straight to 1.
There you
Actually, Alfred number 1.
Alfred from Batman.
Batman. He's like Batman.
Yeah.
Low key. People don't realize like
He's
really
an older
good.
statements Batman.
He's the brains.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Yeah. And then an arch nemesis of a game. I like to be like part of the main story, I guess.
Yeah,
I
I
really
can
want to
tell.
be part of that. So I'd be willing to be the bad guy
There
if
you
I
go.
needed to, because sometimes their stories are pretty cool. Like in Call of Duties and stuff like that, where they're like, "Whoa, that guy's like." I mean, I wouldn't want to be evil by that
Sure.
any means, but like, it's cool when they like put someone at that. Even if you're bad, you're like, "Whoa, they're like really bad guy." They have all this backstory of like, "Whoa," they like dig deep. I feel like I'm one of those people that I want people to dig deep. Yeah.
I think for me, great answers.
Thank
But for me, I would either be a player or a fan in a Madden game. So
Yeah.
that, or I've also played Kingdom Hearts. So one of the village people,
Okay.
just because like, oh, it's Mickey. Oh, it's Goofy. This is fun.
I love it. I love it.
Branden, where can the people find you on social media? And also, where can they find your music?
On all streaming platforms. I love being able to say that.
It's fun, right?
Right? iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Shazam. There's more. And I have been incorporating other like radio stations from other countries and stuff. So I'm trying to spread as much as possible. But yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah. Check
social
me
media
out.
wise?
I think I'm most active on TikTok now.
Okay.
Branden Kota. Pretty much everything should be Branden Kota, social media wide. And as well as contact. If anyone needs to contact me based off music stuff, BrandenKota@gmail. Yeah, TikTok, Instagram. I would say if you want to see where I'm most active, those are the two to probably.
I think this is the first time someone's actually plugged their own email address. So
Yeah, I know, right? Shows how old I am, I guess. Huh?
Hey.
Just kidding.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you like what you heard or watch and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all podcast platforms and YouTube under Keoni Chats. If you want to keep in the loop on other creative content releases, you can follow KC Media on Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, it'll be under Conlu K Media. So if you'd like to be a guest, email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. Tell me your story. I'd love to get you on the show. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.